In a little over a fortnight, on November the 17th, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt will deliver his autumn statement, his tax-raising, spending-cutting package to get the UK out of the fiscal hole that we find ourselves in. Now, it's reported that the first draft of his detailed plans to plug that fiscal black hole, estimated to be at least £50 billion, goes to the Office of Budget Responsibility today. Now, incidentally, that 50 billion's a bit of misleading. Total outstanding national debt is close to £2.5 trillion. That's 2,500 billion. And the annualised deficit's running at about another £100 billion. That said, on the world stage, Japan, Italy, the United States of America, Canada and France are all more indebted than we are. So, what November 17th is really about is, rather than just filling a black hole, it's trying desperately hard not to let it get much bigger. As for Hunt's fiscal black hole, his boss, the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, caused a lot of it, with his policies as Chancellor during the pandemic, with lockdowns, furlough and the rest of it. Putin didn't help by invading Ukraine, which resulted in sanctions, which in turn pushed up the global price of energy, resulting in billions more being spent to ease the pain on you and me and the rest of us. So that's the backdrop. I have two worries. The medicine could make the illness of national indebtedness and looming recession even worse. I'm also deeply concerned that much more of the talk is about tax rises, upfront or stealthy, and far less of it is about cuts in spending and restrictions on what the state can and can't do, should and shouldn't do. Now, Ian Duncan-Smith in today's Sun newspaper and Robert Colville in the Sunday Times are both well worth reading on those themes when you've got time. First on taxes. Jeremy Hunt may scale back the reversal in the National Insurance 1.25% rise, so it only applies to basic rate taxpayers from next April. Therefore, someone earning above the higher rate would still pay national insurance at 3.25%. Income tax thresholds, already frozen until 2026, could be frozen even longer, dragging many more of you into paying income tax in the first place, and those who are well enough off to pay the higher rates sooner. It's a bit sneaky, but it's very lucrative. On spending cuts, the leaks and rumours are gloomy for the poorest. The triple lock on the state pension could see a rise of just over 10% in the spring to compensate for inflation as measured in September. But Mr Hunt may drop that, despite the manifesto commitment, and go for a smaller rise in line with perhaps rises in average earnings. That would roughly halve it. Benefits also could be targeted, with Mr Hunt refusing to say whether they will rise in line with inflation, as they normally do, in April. They'd hurt the least well off and see their spending decline. On spending cuts, infrastructure and the supply side of the economy could also be targeted. Jeremy Hunt could cut planned investments on things like HS2, the Northern Powerhouse rail link, nuclear power stations, even Sizewell C, although there's been a lot of yeah but no but yeah about that particular issue. And remember, just as last week's rise in interest rates hits you and me as borrowers, it also hits the government, the biggest borrower of all. So here's the problem as I see it. There's much more about where they might take more from us than there is on where they might spend less and try to do less. Sunak told The Times yesterday the state can't do everything. Well, it's giving a pretty damn good go of it at the moment. Some of what they are considering, cutting infrastructure, is short-sighted because it creates jobs, pays wages and gives the economy more of what we need. That's Robert Colville's point in the Sunday Times. All areas of public spending, of course, have their defenders, but few have serious inspectors or guardians of the taxpayer who pick up the tab for it, beyond the Public Accounts Committee, who, to be fair, give it a good go, and I've got a member of that coming up on the programme a little later on.